Hello everyone, I am Jay Shady, and the belt is back. That could only mean one thing. It is time for the Voice of Reason, where I always spit the truth. So I have a little request video here. A request from Miss Grecia Calderon. Sorry if I fucked up your first name, but Miss Calderon asked a little request video. She wanted me to do a video on this subject, and I highly encourage anybody else to give me some request videos. Anything you want me to talk about, I'll try to make a video out of it. It doesn't always have to be what I think about. It could be something that you want me to speak about. So I highly encourage this. So Miss Calderon, this is for you. I hope you enjoy it. And it's gonna be about something that I haven't really talked about. I don't know if I've mentioned it. I might have a little bit, but I never really went into detail my thoughts on the Divas division, past and present. So let me go back to the first woman figure that I care about in the wrestling world, and that is Miss Elizabeth. For me, Miss Elizabeth was the first, because you had women's wrestling before Miss Elizabeth, but she was the first prominent figure in the wrestling world, the first woman to achieve worldwide status and to bring a lot of interest to the product herself. Really paved a new way for women to be in this wrestling product if they didn't have to be wrestlers. This woman, she was the representation of class, the representation of elegance, a beautiful, beautiful lady, really. Her storylines, being the Macho Man's manager, I believe she was at least maybe WWE wise, the first woman manager, so that's groundbreaking shit right there. Her storyline with the Macho Man and the Hulk Hogan, just some of the greatest stories that the WWF has ever come up with. I love Miss Elizabeth. I think she's phenomenal. Her work with the WWF was phenomenal, and she added a whole lot to the product. And I'm very sorry to have seen her get mixed up with Lex Luger and OD on drugs and die a few years back. But definitely Miss Elizabeth was the first important woman to me in wrestling, because I don't go further back than that. But after that, you had Luna Vachon, a great another great woman figure in WWF. Very wild, very crazy, but very entertaining. Then you had Sunny, the first woman attraction that I experienced being a wrestling fan. I started watching it in '97, and Sunny was around. She was a pretty looking girl. She wasn't really a wrestler, or she likes to classify herself as the original diva, but she was more like a commentator. Eye candy. It was different. But with Sunny, I remember having her action figure, being 7 years old, thinking about things. I'd look up her skirt all day, the action figure. But Sunny was very beautiful. Not anymore, but she's a wreck now, but she was very beautiful. And she was one of those ESPN chick commentators that you have. It was like that. And then of course the big one is Chyna. Oh man, Chyna was a phenomenon. She was literally the ninth wonder of the world. You had this big fucking girl, looked like a man. She's pairing up with Triple H and D-Generation X. She is as an integral part of D-Generation X as any of the guys are, no matter how WWE tries to put it, having DX reunions with just the some of the guys. And I get it, Chyna's a porn star, they don't want that kind of publicity, but Chyna was a very integral part of D-Generation X. Man, she was badass. She was a tough fucking woman. The only IC champion, Intercontinental champion that was a woman. This was historic shit. And and then she got surgery, tried to make herself look more like a woman, and more sexual and stuff. But her stuff with Eddie Guerrero was hilarious. Chyna was groundbreaking. And WWE, doesn't really talk about her anymore, and I guess, it's because of her porn star thing. But eventually down the line, they're going to have to recognize Chyna for being a huge part of the Attitude Era. She was huge, man. She was like, she was it. She was like the Andre the Giant was the attraction in the 80s. Chyna was the attraction for being just a girl and being huge and picking up guys. And then also you had Sable. A little bit before Chyna, but Sable, oof, I mean, she had some body. I mean, oh man, I'll never forget when she took her clothes off and just had her breasts shown with the black handprints. That was, and then powerbombing Mark Marrow. I mean, Sable was hot, and I'm just mean hot as, sexually hot. I mean, hot as popularity. Sable was, man, back then the WWF produced so many great women figures. It's unbelievable. Now, I haven't really thought about it, but as I'm doing this video, I'm thinking about it. It's amazing. Sable was a huge attraction. Watch a Raw is War clip when Sable comes out, that wow, her theme song. Everybody goes ape shit. Oh man, Sable was great. Then after her, you had the slew of big time divas, like a big diva boom, like around the Attitude Era. I'll start off with Trish Stratus. Man, I love Trish. Trish is a dish, I mean, this was a time when, I know it's 2013 and I shouldn't, look at women as sexual objects, and I know that's not right and everything. But, we are men. We do have a lot of testosterone. And when we see a woman on our TV screen, it's nice when she's fucking sexy and, you want to do things with her. I'm not going to get into that shit. I'm going to try to keep it, normal. Keep it, like, PG or, not rated X. But, I mean, this Trish Stratus was hot. She was beautiful. Oh, my God. So many great memories of Trish Stratus. Especially, going through puberty, watching Trish Stratus. I remember being in computer class in junior high school, 6th or 7th grade, and I had on, in my computer class on my computer screen, my computer teacher saw what I had on my computer screen. I got detention because I had a picture of Trish Stratus with her big fat fucking ass in the air on my computer screen, and that was it. Right to detention I went, but yeah, great memories of Trish Stratus, and she kicked ass. That was the thing. These women were sexy as hell, and they kicked some ass, Some great, this was when I gave a shit about the women's wrestling division. I didn't, walk away whenever, women's wrestling came on. I actually genuinely looked forward to some of these women's matches, and some of them were good, Some of them were really good. I mean, it was never, boring because of who was involved in it, I cared who had the championship. I cared if Trish Stratus was, trying to get that championship. I couldn't give I don't even know who the Divas champion is right now. And I couldn't give a fuck what's going on in that picture. But this era, this woman's era, made me give a shit. And then you had Lita, another all-time favorite, Lita might be my favorite, for definitely wrestling-wise. I loved Lita. She was she brought out, some of the stuff that the boys did, the moonsaults, the Hardy Boys type shit. Oh, man, Lita was hot. Woo! I mean, hot in, not in your classical kind of hot way. More hot, ooh, this is the bad girl. This is the slutty rock girl that, she's such a badass. Hot in that way. And, man, I mean, Lita was awesome with the Hardy Boys. Just great wrestling from Lita, too. And some big, what. Woo! Okay. And then what I really loved Lita was when she paired up with Edge. I thought Edge and Lita, the Rated R Superstar thing in 2005, 2006, I thought that shit was awesome. Oh, man. I never really cared about... I liked Edge, but I wasn't an Edge fanboy or a huge Edge fan until he got with Lita and made that Rated R Superstar gimmick. That's when I really started caring about Edge, John Cena, was reigning supreme back then, so Edge was the alternative, Edge and Lita's sex celebration night, one of the greatest moments of Raw, in my opinion. this was when the women, brought attention to themselves, yet put guys over also. They brought more attention to the guys by being their manager or partner or whatever. Like, same thing with Miss Elizabeth, brought a lot of attention to the Macho Man. Trish Stratus with the APA, Lita with Edge. I mean, this is when women were used very effectively. Now you have AJ paired up with Dolph Ziggler, but she's just like a girlfriend. She's not a manager. She's not a partner. She's not adding anything. She's not bringing any attention to Dolph Ziggler, and I thought she was going to. But it's just not the way it was, She's not included as much in the product. She's just like there for eye candy. It's just not right anymore. You had like, Luna Vachon with Goldust. You just had great pairings. Now it's like Vince McMahon doesn't want like people to think that men lust for women, so he keeps them apart. You never see fucking male guys with females anymore on WWE. The closest sexual thing you get is Brodus Clay and Tensai in lingerie. It's like a rule that men and women cannot get together in WWE. It's like, how fucking PG does this shit have to be? Like, where it's like we're telling kids, not to worry about relationships or worry about, sexual attraction and shit. It's pathetic. It really is. Because women played a huge role back then that they just don't anymore. And it's sad. Because I loved, the women's division back then and what the women did, for their male partners or, being managers to their male counterparts. And now I don't, there's nobody I fucking give a shit about. I mean, who do you have? I mean, I guess Beth Phoenix was the closest thing to, legitimate, cool, badass woman, but she's gone, I mean, who you have? Like, Natalia's just dancing with Great Khali and Hornswoggle. You had the Bella Twins. I mean, they sucked in the ring, they couldn't do any fucking wrestling moves. All these, they're just, bimbos from California that, don't give a shit about wrestling. They're just models, So it doesn't make sense. Because Trish Stratus, Lita, those people from the Attitude Era, whoever the fuck, Ivory, Victoria, and even later on, Mickie James. These are wrestlers, women that wanted to get into wrestling. Now it's girls that just wanted to get into modeling, but they do WWE to get worldwide fame for their looks. They don't know a shit thing about wrestling itself. That's the problem. You don't have any women wrestlers. It's sad. It really is sad, Miss Calderon. The girls really don't have anything to look for, on their part in the WWE product anymore. The Divas division is dead. It's dead. And I don't know if it could ever come back. I don't know if it could ever be repaired. A lot has to be changed. A lot of these models have to go and women's wrestlers have to come in. And I would, because the women added so much to the product, man. Yeah, so there's my little video on Divas. I think the Divas division, it sucks. There's nothing to look for anymore. Every match is just a bathroom break. They have, no importance into the product. Whereas back then you had them being managers, them being, romantic partners, them just being good wrestlers, just bringing a lot of attention to the product. You get sick of watching men in underwear for 2 hours, and back then the women's gave you some time to remember that women are hot. Now it's you don't even care about the women because they're fucking clothed from neck to toe. There's nothing sexual about it anymore. The men wear more revealing shit than the women, so it's It's I don't know. Is Vince McMahon trying to make every guy in the world gay? Is that his mission statement? Have us not being sexually attracted to women or something? Is this the master plan of the WWE? I don't know. I'm sorry if anybody gets offended because I'm referring to sex with women, but hey, we're guys. We've been doing this shit since Adam and Eve. So there you go. There's my video, and I guess without further ado, the best way to close this out is to look at some pictures of some great women of the past. So let the clip roll. Jay Shady, like, comment, subscribe, and enjoy some pictures.
from the past.